Hello YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ruiz, and today I'm bringing you guys a completely different video compared to the ones I've been bringing in the past weeks. It's a video reaction to one of the matches I had in the most recent Latin American International Championship. For those of you that don't know, I participated in the Latin American International Championship this past November 15th, 16th of 2024 for the 2025 season. We are already in the 2025 season, and it was a really good tournament for me. I had fun. I had a lot of tough opponents, and one of the opponents I had to face in the day one of the competition was no other than Shohei Kimura from Japan, the world champion of the 2023 season. So it was a world champion against world champion match, and unfortunately, Pokemon didn't stream this match. I would have liked to be streamed, in this match against Shohei. I was streamed in the round 4 of the day 1 part of the tournament against a Italian player, but I would have preferred to also be streamed in this one because, of course, Shohei Kimura is a world champion. So a lot of people actually put on social media like, hey, why are we not getting this match between two world champions? Like, I read a lot of comments about people saying like, hey, I would have liked to watch that, or I would have paid so much money. Even someone said, on the Twitter social media, and I was like, you know what? I think that is probably a really good content to bring you guys because I usually like to take notes when I play, and I'm usually, trying to write down all the moves that happen just to have like a timeline that I can recreate the match in a future time if I need to, just to analyze my tournament, to analyze my matches. And so in this case, I was like, I can maybe try to recreate the match. I asked one of my friends also. Shout out to Mike Cottom, one of my friends, to help me recreate in these matches. So thank you so much, Mike, if you are watching from home. And yeah, so I would like to say a little bit of a disclaimer. It's not exactly how the match went. What you're about to see is not exactly what happened because there are a couple of things that are impossible to recreate. Like, for example, we're going to get into the team sheets in a moment, but Shohei was using a Sinistcha, and the Sinistcha has this move, Dark Claw, which of course induces different status conditions. It's a 50% chance of inducing sleep, poison, or paralysis, so it's impossible to recreate exactly what happened. If the turn that you're about to see happens in a different way in this recreation than the actual one that happened during the match, I would let you know, because there are a couple of things that are a little bit different, but the outcome is the same. And there are some turns that I wasn't sure exactly how they went because my notes at some point I forgot to write a couple of details because I was focused on the match. But in general terms, is very, very close to what actually happened. So if you like this content, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. That helps me a ton because I want to keep growing this channel. And of course, your help is very much appreciated. So let's begin. We're going to talk about the team sheets first. Shohei was using a rain team with Pelipper, Cover Cloak Pelipper, with the Drizzle ability, set up the rain, protect Hurricane, Weather, Tailwind, Terra Steel. Also, Basculegion with a Choice Band, a really powerful Choice Band, Terra Water Basculegion with Flip Turn, Wave Crash, Aqua Jet, and Last Respects. Then we have Sinistcha with Focus Sash. It has the Poison Touch ability, so it's not unburdened. It has Focus Sash, Protect, Close Combat, Dark Claw, Fake Out with Terra Ghost. Then Archaludon with Assault Vest, a really common Pokemon on rain teams, and the Stamina ability with the Terra Bug. Terra Bug was interesting. It's something that some Archaludons sometimes can run because Bug resists fighting and ground, which are the main two weaknesses that Archaludon has. Electroshot, Flash Cannon, Draco Meteor, and Body Press is the set. Then Amoonguss with Citrus Berry, Regenerator, Terra Fairy, Protect, Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, and Spore. And finally, Goldango with Life Orb, a Terra Water version with Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, Nasty Plot, and Protect. That is a team that Shohei was using. And my team is very similar. I also used a rain team with some differences. My team had a Mousehold with the Frangar ability, a really good supporter with Safety Goggles, Beat Up, Follow Me, Taunt, Protect, Terra Ghost. Sinistcha with Rocky Helmet, Hospitality to recover 25% health on its partner upon switching, Terra Fairy, Matcha Gotcha, Rage Powder, Life Dew, and Trick Room. a choice scarf Pelipper, which I found to be very, very interesting, in the weeks prior to the event. So I decided to lock a choice scarf Pelipper on my team with the Drizzle to set up the rain, Terra Ghost, Icy Wind, Hurricane, Weatherville, and White Guard. And then Annihilate with Citrus Berry, Defiant Ability, Terra Fire, Drain Punch, Rage Fist, Bulk Up Protect, Basco Legion with Choice Band, Terra Water Burst, similar to the one that Shohei was using, Wave Crash, Aqua Jet, Last Respects, and Flip Turn, and finally Archaludon with Terra Grass, Assault Vest Stamina, with Body Press, Snarl, Electroshot, and Draco Meteor. This is my team. You also saw Shohei's team sheet. So yeah, let's get into the game one because I think this game is really, really interesting to watch. So let's click play and watch the first game. So we are in the team preview. Remember, guys, this is a recreation of what happened. For the first game, I remember I decided to go with Maushold and Annihilate up front. I think this team that Shohei is using also has a Goldengo Amoonguss option with Sneasler. So Maushold and Annihilate is really good into the Sneasler, Amoonguss, Goldengo part. So if Shohei decides to lead with any of those, I have that covered. And if Shohei decides to lead with the rain part of his team, I already have a plan of what I would like to do. I have practice matchups like this. I can always just protect the Maushold, switch into the Archaludon, which is really good, into the rain part of the team. And there you have. Shohei decided to lead with Sneasler and Goldengo into my Maushold Annihilate, which is a really, really good lead for me. I remember watching Shohei's reaction. He was like a little bit surprised that I led with this. Apparently, he probably realized that it's not a good lead for him to, lead with Goldengo Sneasler against this duo. But it was a great lead for me. I knew what I had to do. So turn one is pretty easy for me. I just terrestrialized the Maushold to go for a Terra Ghost, to avoid Fake Out, to avoid close combat, side beat up into my Annihilate, go for the offense immediately. I know that I'm faster than any Goldengo because my Annihilate is jolly, so I just go for Rage Fist into that slot. He went for a Protect into the Goldengo, and he tried to go for Dire Claw. Of course, he could have gone for Fake Out or Close Combat, but he obviously knew that I had Terra Ghost, so he was apparently just expecting the Terra Ghost, so he didn't bother clicking Fake Out or Close Combat. He went for a Dire Claw, and he was expecting a status condition. I remember looking at his face. He was like, smiling a little bit. I get it. Like, you didn't have any other option. Like, it's a really bad lead for them, and it's a really good lead for me. So I just went for the beat up, and in the turn one, the Dire Claw didn't get any status conditions, so I was very, very happy to see no paralysis, no sleep, no poison. Now, this turn two, I'm just going to go for the same. I just go for the Rage Fist into that slot. I don't need to go for another beat up, of course. I just go for a safe, follow me. And he didn't switch out or terrestrialize the Goldengo. He probably was expecting maybe that his Goldengo was faster. Maybe he's using a timid Goldengo. It's Life Orb, right? So maybe he's expecting to be faster. My Annihilate was faster, so I just went for the Rage Fist, and the Goldengo went down. He went for a Dark Claw into the Maushold, though, and this time I do have on my notes that he got a paralysis on my Maushold. So unfortunately, of course, I cannot recreate that because it's just RNG. But the paralysis didn't change much, the outcome of this turn, because Maushold's Follow Me went first before the Dark Claw, so I couldn't even get fully paralyzed. So it was just a safe Follow Me with the Rage Fist. But it did get paralyzed here, just to give you more context. So here, I'm just gonna go for the same Follow Me play with Rage Fist because there's no reason to not do it. Like, he could go for like a, let's say, Dark Claw Pollen Puff to see if Maushold goes down from that. But remember that Maushold with the Terra Ghost resist both the Dark Claw and the Pollen Puff. And there you have it. The paralysis on the Maushold one turn later, but still works to recreate, a little bit closer what actually happened. The Rage Fist hit into the Amoonguss Protect, and now Sneasler can KO my Maushold. And obviously, if I lose Maushold, the Amoonguss is going to spore my Annihilate. So here, I had to make the decision of switching out the Annihilate. The Rage Fist stacks are not lost when you switch out, so I can just bring it back later and still have that very powerful 250 base power Rage Fist. I went into Sinistcha to give some health, some recovery to my Maushold. So Maushold is guaranteed to be outside of range of that Dire Claw, even though I resisted. It's probably going to be enough I didn't want to risk it. Maybe it's a roll, but I just went for the Sinistcha. Went for the taunt into the Amoonguss. Amoonguss did try to go for the Spore into the Annihilate slot. Of course, because Sinistcha is a grass type, this Spore wouldn't have actually worked there. But I wanted to taunt anyways to avoid, the Amoonguss having the option to protect the subsequent turn, or like maybe predict that my Mousehole is going to switch out and try to spore that slot, because remember, Mousehole is safety goggles, so he cannot spore me, but he could predict me, so I prefer just to go for the taunt. And here, I swap out the Mousehole into Annihilate, because I need to put offense, and the Sinistcha just went for the Rage Powder. Pretty simple. Rage Powder ensures that this Sinistcha does not attack into the Annihilate. I don't want Annihilate to be put to sleep. That will be a disaster, and also ensures that the Rage Powder ensures that the Rocky Helmet is going to break Sinistcha's sash, which is obviously something that is really valuable for later. Now, in this recreation, Sinistcha got the paralysis, but in the actual battle, I remember he got the poison. That's what I have in my notes. He got the poison in the Sinistcha instead of the paralysis. But as you saw, the Focus Sash was broken because of the Rocky Helmet. Now, Basque Legion switched on the Amoonguss slot. Obviously, my Annihilate is faster because there's no range. So I'm just going to go for the Rage Fist into that slot. There's nothing he can do to avoid that because the Basque Legion doesn't actually have Protect. So he swapped the Basque Legion out into Amoonguss, and I just went for a safe Rage Powder. Remember, the Sinistcha was poisoned, so it actually lost a little bit of health at the end of the previous turn. And now with this Dark Claw and another turn of poison, it was really low health. Like, I think I had like around 10% ish at the end of this turn. Rage Fist is usually not enough to KO an Amoonguss without any like +1 attack. So since I didn't have any bulk up or anything like that, I knew the Amoonguss was going to survive. But that's fine because I can just do it again. I'm going to do it again. And this time, this is a turn where I'm not fully sure how like it went because I don't have exactly what happened on my notes. I remember I went for the Rage Fist, but I'm not sure what happened with the Sinistcha. I think this is the closest thing that I could have like remembered. I swap into Archaludon just to bait the Dire Claw on the Sinistcha. Obviously, Archaludon is immune to Dire Claw, and I went for the Rage Fist. I'm not exactly sure that this is how this turn went, but I'm almost positive it is. I went for the Rage Fist into the Amoonguss. Amoonguss went down, and now it's Basque Legion and Sinistcha against my entire team. Now, here's the thing. What you're going to see in this next turn is actually a misplay on my end. I was deciding what to do with the Annihilate, and obviously the Rage Fist should always be on the Basque Legion. The Basque Legion here terrestrialized into a Water Terra just to not be weak to Rage Fist, and maybe he was expecting to survive with the with the defensive Terra. But in this case, my friend Mike forgot to terrestrialize, so it didn't terrestrialize here, but it did terrestrialize in the actual battle. And I was deciding what to do here, and honestly, I remember saying like, okay, I should just attack the Basque Legion with Rage Fist. But for some reason, with the Pro Controller, I was clicking this arrow here, and for some reason, I don't know what happened. I thought I clicked it, but maybe I didn't click it with like enough strength. And I just clicked A super fast, and turns out it didn't actually pick the Basque Legion. And Annihilate was in the other slot in the actual game. Archaludon was on the left, Annihilate was on the right. So Annihilate was the last one that I had to select. So basically, I misplayed there and went for a Rage Fist into the Sinistcha, which is what I'm recreating here. I went into the Sinistcha, but it was not intended. I actually decided to click the Basque Legion, but for some reason, I didn't click it strong enough, and I just click A super fast. So Basque Legion terrestrialized here, just hoping that it would survive. It was not going to survive. I made the cog. It's guaranteed to go down, unless the Basque Legion has like a lot of bulk, but that's not the case because his Basque Legion was actually fast. It outsped my Archaludon without range, so that's a fast Basque Legion. So I don't think it had any bulk. So the Rage Fist was going to be enough even with the Terra. But I'm trying to recreate, as close as possible to what happened. And the Sinistcha here survived in the recreation with 3 HP, but it actually didn't happen. He went for I think he went for the Dire Claw on the Archaludon, predicting the switch in because it was kind of obvious. But the Sinistcha actually died to poison, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, at this point, what I remember happened is like I had Mousehole instead of Sinistcha, and I went for a Protect on my Mousehole and Electro Shot, and he went for the Last Respects into the Archaludon. which didn't KO, did around 70%. And then, obviously, because I didn't have rain, the Electro Shot is going to take 2 turns because it needs to power up on the first one. But then the second turn, because I protected the mouse hold on the first turn just to keep the friend guard active, so I wanted to ensure that the Basculegion was not going to KO our Archaludon, because remember, this Choice Bandit, and I already KO'd everything else. It's 150? No, I think it's 200 base power. Yeah, that's respect. So I wanted to keep it alive. Of course, if the mouse would have gotten fully paralyzed, I would have lost the game. But I would have lost the game because of that misplay, the drift, or like, the issue with the controller. I wanted to attack the Basculegion, but thankfully for me, the mouse didn't get fully paralyzed, and I just clicked follow me, and the Archaludon's Electro Shot went directly into the Basculegion, and that's how the game ended. Instead of having a full health Archaludon, like in this recreation, I had like a 25% health Archaludon, but I managed to win against this Basculegion. Honestly, if the Annihilate just clicked the Rage Fist into the intended target, the game would have ended immediately, and I didn't have to risk anything else. So that was the game 1. It was a really fun game. I managed to have almost full control of the board because of my lead. Like, I think the lead that I had was really good, of course, into what Shohei led, because maybe he was not expecting that duo. Maybe he was expecting rain. He was trying to cover for the Archaludon a little bit better. Of course, Goldengo and Sinistcha are really good into Archaludon. Sinistcha, for obvious reasons, right? It's a fighting type, so you can close combat. And then Goldengo resist Draco, is immune to body press, can shadow ball me, can nasty plot in front of me. So I think he was expecting something like that, but he was maybe caught off guard with my Mousehold Annihilate lead. So that was a great game 1. I was ahead 1 game, and I have to win 1 more to obviously win the set. So let's get into game number 2. And for game number 2, I thought about maybe a potential adaptation he probably can make. Like, obviously, I was very confident he was not going to lead the same. He was going to bring rain probably this time, but I was really confident with my approach. Like, I have already practiced this matchup, and I know that, like, there's a super high chance Shohei doesn't lead Goldengo's Sinistcha again. But I still want to lead with an Annihilate just to apply the pressure in case he maybe does it or leads with a Mungus or something. And if he leads with Basculegion, I can just switch out into Archaludon. That was my plan. And guess what? He decided to go for the offense right off the bat. He led with Basculegion Pelipper immediately just to apply pressure. Remember that this Basculegion is Choice Bandit with Terra Water. The Pelipper is not a Sash variant, it's a Cover Cloak variant. So he just wanted to set up the rain. Obviously, I didn't bring Pelipper on the previous game. He didn't also bring Pelipper, so he said, okay, I need the rain so Basculegion can outspeed your team. My team can function without rain, so it was okay not bringing Pelipper, but probably he needed the rain so Basculegion can actually outspeed my Annihilate and Mousehold. So here, as I said, I didn't need to risk anything. I'm going for a safe protect on the Mousehold, bring Archaludon, because the Friend Guard is always active here. So if Shohei decides to go for a Wave Crash into the Archaludon or a Flip Turn or anything like that, it's going to give me a stamina boost. And because Friend Guard is there, I'm going to take reduced damage from that. He decided to switch out the Pelipper into Goldengo immediately, and he went for the offense with a Terra Water right off the bat on that Basculegion. I imagined that was going to be a Wave Crash, of course, and I was fine if the Wave Crash went into the Archaludon. Of course, it's still a banded Wave Crash, so it's going to do around, I imagine, 35-40%. The Wave Crash went into the Protect, so nothing happened. Mousehold stayed there. We both switch out the other slot, so nothing happened on the other slot either. And then here, I basically was considering just trading Basculegion for Mousehold. Basically saying like, okay, if you want to attack me, then I'm going to Electroshot your Basculegion. So we're going to lose Mousehold for Basculegion, and you're going to give me a +1 with Archaludon. And in case you want to switch out, I can get a free beat up to increase my defense, which is not going to help me much into Goldengo or like at all into Goldengo or Amoonguss or Pelipper, but it's going to help me potentially into that Basculegion for later in case he does want to switch out. So I wanted to have that guaranteed, let's say, stamina boost for later in case he wanted to switch out, which is what eventually happened. And he didn't want to trade the Mousehold for the Basculegion, which I understand because obviously he would have lost his Terra option and a really powerful tool, especially because he knew that I had the Annihilate in the back. The Goldengo went for a Nasty Plot, and I went for the Electro Shot into the Amoonguss. At this point, it was confirmed that his Goldengo was faster than my Archaludon. I had a lot of speed in my Archaludon. I was not max speed, but I had a lot of speed, so I was expecting the Goldengo to be faster, but I wanted to confirm that, so it was confirmed he was faster. So I imagine that's why in game 1 he just went for the Goldengo like attack on turn 2, because maybe he expected to be faster than my Annihilate. Maybe because he's timid Goldengo. So now here in this turn, I was considering Terastallizing just to avoid this Spore, but because Mousehold is there, Mousehold has Taunt. I can Taunt the Amoonguss, right? Or I can Terra Grass. So I think it's very unlikely he goes for a Spore here. So instead, I went for a Protect, scouting what he wants to do, because maybe he wants to Protect and try to KO Mousehold. That's exactly what happened. He went for a Protect on his Amoonguss, and I didn't Terastallize and didn't click Taunt. I just played with the mind game that he would not click the Spore there. He did go for the Make It Rain, doing a respectable amount of damage to Archaludon. Not enough, though. Remember, Mousehold has Friend Guard, and Archaludon resists Make It Rain. He has the Assault Vest. I went for a Snar here, just to, like, decrease that Goldengo's special attack a little bit more. Now the Goldengo is, like, neutral, but here is the question. Like, do I go for the Terra now? Do I taunt the Amoonguss? It's so obvious that I can taunt it. So I actually think, I'm not 100% sure if this turn actually played out the way I'm showing here, but I'm almost positive. I think I swapped the Mousehold into the Sinistcha, and I went for a Snarl. Now here, I didn't go for a Snarl because the Goldengo I'm using here is not exactly the same Goldengo of course Shohei had. So I remember this Snarl against Goldengo's, Shohei's Goldengo was enough to pick up the KO after the first one, but here I wasn't sure because apparently the Goldengo I was using, like I gave to my friend Mike, was a little bit bulkier. So instead I just went for Electroshot just to ensure the Goldengo went down, because that is actually what happened in the game. I went for the Snar, Goldengo went down, and Amoonguss had a -1 special attack. But here, because I was not sure, as I said, I just went for the Electroshot just to ensure the Goldengo goes down. The -1 special attack into Amoonguss doesn't matter really. Realistically. So I think I should have gone for an Electroshot, honestly, but I went for Snar in case the Amoonguss went for a Rage Powder. He went for a Pollen Puff. That is exactly what happened. He went for a Pollen Puff. I remember looking at Shohei's face. He was expecting me to Terastallize, and when he saw that I didn't Terastallize, he was like, oh, like complaining a little bit, smiling always. But yeah, I didn't Terastallize because, as I said, I had the pressure of the Taunt, and I had the pressure, of course, of the Terra Grass, so I was expecting he was not going to click Spore. Now, Basculegion comes back here, and Sinistcha, even though it's a Grass type, I'm obviously going to die to a Last Respects, or maybe even a Wave Crash, so I switch out into Mousehold. I wanted to keep Sinistcha's, Hospitality active for later. Mousehold did his job, so I can just sack it, that's fine. And this time, I am going to Terastallize, because one of the reasons why I didn't Terastallize in the previous turn is because I wanted to keep my Steel type so I can resist Make It Rain. Now the Goldengo is out of the way, I can Terastallize now for free. And not only that, in case Amoonguss wants to go for a Rage Powder, I am guaranteed to ignore that with the Terra Grass and go for Electroshot into the Basculegion slot. The Basculegion went for a flip turn, KOing the Mousehold that switched in, is banded, it's Terra Water, it's in the rain. And that's fine, because I'm going to Electroshot that slot anyways, and we know what's in the back. It's a Pelipper, right? So Pelipper is not Focus Sash, because the Focus Sash was on this Sneasler. It's going to go down. There's no way Pelipper survives this. Of course, it's 4 times weak to Electroshot. Electroshot being a very powerful move, giving me the +1 also before hitting the Pelipper, so it's impossible. The question here is, like, did he go for the Spore, or did he just, let's say, keep the Pollen Puff option into the Archaludon? And the answer is, he did go for the Pollen Puff, and it's impossible for me to recreate this Pollen Puff exactly how it happened, because he got a critical hit here. I remember he got a critical hit. I wrote that down in my notes. He crit my Archaludon, so he did around, I don't know, let's say, I remember it was like around 10%, 15% health. Maybe like, yeah, 5-10%. The crit did a lot of damage, actually, to my Archaludon. And then, like, Sinistcha came. I recovered a little bit of health. But I think the recovery was not enough. I was in range of another Pollen Puff. So what ended up happening here is, like, I went for a Rage Powder. The Basculegion attacked into the Sinistcha, of course, because of the Rage Powder. I went for a Body Press into the Basculegion just to ensure the knockout. There's no rain, so I cannot Electroshot but because Archaludon was +6, I just went for the Rage Powder, save Rage Powder. He went for Last Respects, KOing the Sinistcha, and the Body Press at +6 defense did KO the Basque Legion now that it was not a Ghost type. And he went for a Pollen Puff. I remember, obviously, he couldn't do anything else. He cannot Rage Powder because I'm Terra Grass. And the Pollen Puff was his safest play. And I remember the Pollen Puff here did KO the Archaludon. I went down to another Pollen Puff. I'm not going to go down here, but I did go down on that turn on the actual battle. So it was basically Annihilate against Amoonguss. Of course, Amoonguss cannot do anything to Annihilate. I resist Pollen Puff. You're going to give me Rage Fist stacks if you Pollen Puff me. And if you put me to sleep, that's fine. You're not going to win by putting me to sleep. So I just went for Bulk Up, and he just forfeited here, understanding that Annihilate was going to win that end game. So that was game 2 against Shohei Kimura, and that was the end of the set. That was a great set. GG to Shohei. I would have loved to, to be streaming this match. I think a lot of people, as I said earlier, was expecting this match to be streamed. And unfortunately, Pokemon said, nope, we have other plans. They stream other match, but it would have been a really, really nice match to show on the stream. But yeah, that is how the recreation went. As I said, there were a couple of turns that it was not possible to recreate them exactly how they happened. And there were other turns that I was not sure exactly what moves were clicked. But overall, I'm very happy with how this recreation went. It was super close to what actually happened. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did enjoy, please consider subscribing to the channel. Leave a like on the video. That would help me a ton. And yeah, until next time, guys. See you. Bye-bye.